Hey guys, it's LEGO Boys E3. Today is my 20-second Q&A. Alright, so today is the 22nd episode of my Q&A series where I answer your guys' questions that you left in the comments of my previous video. So if you want to have your question answered next time, be sure and leave those in the comments of this video down below. Just make sure that they're good questions. And speaking of good questions, what is the question that you get tired of answering the most? Or rather, the question that I get tired of being asked the most? And that's pretty much anything that has to do with my PBs in WCA or at home, or anything that has to do with the cubes that I use, or my camera gear, or anything like that, because that's all answered on the About page on my channel. So do not leave a question that's asking my PB on something or something like that, my main. That's all on the About page. Do you like speed solving non-WCA puzzles? So like puzzles that you can't do at a competition? The answer to that is no, because the only reason I like speed solving at all is because of competitions and being able to compete and get my times better. And so if it's non-WCA, I just really don't like speed solving. I really see no point to it unless you're trying to compete with someone specifically. How many times have you switched mains in 3x3? So this is my current main, the MF3RS2M. Before this, I used the GAN AirSM. Before that, I used the Valk 3. Before that, I guess would be the Thunderclap, and then the Weilong, Sanchi, and then Guhong, and then the original Rubik's brand. So I think that's around 8 mains, so I guess you could say I switched 7 times. So yeah, there you go. Are you ever going to get a cube bigger than an 8x8? Yeah, I definitely will someday. Maybe like an 11x11 would be cool. But the cube I'm most excited for in the future is the Qi 19x19. If it's good and maybe relatively inexpensive, then I might get one of them, because 19x19 is by far the biggest that has ever been mass produced, so that would be cool. Can anyone in your family solve a 3x3? Well, besides me, my dad used to be able to back in the 80s, and I think he still can if he has the algorithms. My sister used to be able to, but I think she forgot, and I've tried to teach my brother a couple of times. Why don't you like logo stickers? Well, I don't like logos in general on my cubes because they're all kind of a little bit different, and I like my cubes to all be kind of the same. That's why I have my own color scheme, to make them all matching, like this. And so yeah, I just kind of like everything to be the same and don't want the messiness of having a logo on some cubes and not on other cubes. Can you not skip my question? What was your PB when you were 9 or 10 on 3x3? This is referring to when I was a cuber back a long time ago before I quit and then started again. And my PB when I was 9 years old was about a minute. It was either like a minute flat or like 56 seconds, something like that. But yeah, I used not the normal method and that was my best time. Why does the WCA logo have the wrong color scheme? Well, let's pick up a cube and compare it. As we can see, oh, wait a minute. You just gotta flip everything around. See, like that. See, now it's right. What is your second favorite school subject? Well, my favorite is math, and out of the general ones, I guess my second favorite would be, like, science. Do you have a GTS2? No, I don't even have a normal GTS. In fact, out of all my 3x3s, if you don't count sub-brands, this is my only MoU 3x3. This is a Weilong. This was my main a really long time ago, like 4 years ago now. What methods do you use on 2x2, 3x3, and 4x4? In that order, I use Ortega, CFOP, and then Yao. And then on all bigger cubes, 5x5 and up, I just use normal reduction. Can you give us 4 tips for Skewb? Oh, I get it. Are those kind of like pyraminx tips, like these things right here? I can do that. Let's see. I have Skewb tip number 1, Skewb tip number 2, Skewb tip number 3, and here we go, Skewb tip number 4. Do you think there could be a sub 4 3x3 world record single before 2018 ends? I think it's definitely possible, of course. People have gotten sub 4 solves before. It just has to happen in a competition. I don't think it's likely though. I'd say it would probably happen within the next few years though. If you could only have one cube for the rest of your life, what would it be? Just a 3x3. My current main is the MF3RS2M, so it would make a good choice, I guess. And then $100,000 or all the cubes in the world. I mean, $100,000 is enough to buy pretty much all the cubes I'd ever want, so I'd go with that one. Concave or convex? Now, of course, concave puzzles have started to get popular with the X-Main Weenie Skewb. It really helps with the grip of the puzzle. As for convex puzzles, I think that's what they called the original Yoo-Hoo Megaminx, and this is just a really bad cube, so I wouldn't really say convex. I'm not sure if there's another type of convex you're talking about, but this just really didn't help turning. What puzzle would you remove from the WCA? Now, of course, I get this question a lot, and I've probably given different answers. Of course, there's 2 main ones. There's clock, and then there's feet, that a lot of people would probably remove. Clock I do enjoy, though, because it's kind of just a fun puzzle to get better at. And feet is also kind of fun, just as a weird, kind of strange challenge. I'm really not sure. I'm kind of between those two. I mean, there's also, like, 2x2, which is kind of bad. But in the end, I'd probably go with, like, feet, I want to say. Why do you have an exclamation mark at the end of your YouTube name? Well, that's kind of a funny story because when I was making my channel, I didn't want it to have the exclamation mark. I wanted it to just be LEGO Boise 3, but I actually had another channel at the time which was also just called LEGO Boise 3, so of course YouTube wouldn't let me make another channel with the same name, so I had to add an exclamation mark, and it's there to this day. Who do you think was the best Speedcuber for their time? So like not necessarily right now, but any time in the past. I would still say probably Felix Zemdegs because he just kind of came in, he took a bunch of world records like the 3x3, 5x5, whole bunch of things like that, and held them for many, many years. Like normally it would go back and forth between a lot of different people like it does today, but he just held them for like a span of like 5 years straight, like 5x5 average since like 2010. So I think he's had the most records for the longest time. Also, how long did it take for you to make this video? Nice pun there. It usually takes me like an hour to find the comments for this video, maybe a little over an hour to film it, maybe a couple hours to edit it, and then a little bit longer to upload it to YouTube. What are the benefits of using your left hand and one-handed, as in like most people's non-dominant hand? And the thing is, most algorithms on a 3x3 use mostly right moves, and so when you're using your left hand, you hold it on the left side of the cube, and it makes it really easy to do right moves, just like I'm doing right here. Do you think age matters in cubing? It's very similar to a previous question about gender, but I think it's really interesting because most people who are really good at cubing and like hold the records are like in their teens or like 20s. So I kind of want to say, yeah, it does matter a little bit. Like obviously someone who's a year old wouldn't be able to cube very well, but if you go to the other end, someone who's 100 years old probably wouldn't be able to cube as fast as someone who's 20. So yeah, it's kind of more interesting when you go into like middle ages, like 30s, 40s, 50s. Most people that age don't have the cubing record, so maybe it does affect it. How hard is it to solve the square 1 star? How would I know? I've never solved it. Why do you need to lube the core? Referencing like the centerpieces of a cube where the screws are. Now there's a few different possible reasons for this. First of all, if you've ever had a cube that has a really annoying noise when you're turning one side because of the spring, that'll help get rid of it. Also, in some cases, if you're using a good lube like Lube Black, it can make the cube turn a little bit better. And also, it can help the cube last longer in some cases too. Will you ever learn Sarah's Advanced for Skewb? Yeah, I definitely will someday. I started learning it a little while ago and then I kind of gave up. But I will definitely finish learning it eventually and start practicing and getting faster at it. But yeah, just not right away. Will you do any giveaways in the near future of your YouTube channel? I will have one like kind of in the near future after a few months once I hit 100,000 subscribers on my channel. But really giveaways have become such a pain that I really do not like doing them anymore, like picking the winners and contacting them and picking new ones when they don't respond and everything like that. It's just a really big pain to do, but I will eventually. Why do you think everyone hates VCube? All they had a problem with was the VCube 6. I guess this is kind of a misconception. I don't think anyone should hate VCube because of the VCube 6. I mean, yeah, sure, it's a bad turning cube, but back then it was the first 6x6, which was really amazing. They also came out with the first 7x7 and a decently good 5x5 at the time. But since then, they've done a lot of bad stuff, like with Diane, like not allowing people to buy their cubes just because their mechanism technically violated their patent that they made a long time ago. I mean, nowadays it's impossible to make a cube that's not violating their patent pretty much. So yeah, people didn't like them for what they were doing with their patents, and then they started releasing other cubes which also weren't very good compared to the ones that were around, and they were really overpriced and expensive, and everyone just saw them as a bad company. And now people also hate on them, apparently because of the VCube 6. So that is pretty much it for this Q&A video. Be sure and leave questions down in the comment section down below, and I'll be answering those next time. Anyway, that's pretty much it for this video, and I'll see you guys next time. Bye!